Hello everyone, I'm Nate and welcome to my channel. Today we have something a little different. I've been reviewing a lot of yo-yos lately and I still have a few to review, so we'll be back on that train pretty soon. But I wanted to take an opportunity to talk to somebody in the yo-yo community for a while about design, and I've had an opportunity to review a number of Patrick Dressel's designs, and he just started his own company, Dressel Designs. And so I reached out to him not too long ago and said, hey, I would love a chance for us to sit down and have a little bit of a chat about design, because I talk a lot about design on this channel from a non-designer perspective. As a thrower, as a reviewer, I know a few things, but I am not a designer and I've never designed a yo-yo personally. And so I thought it'd be really cool to have somebody in who knows what they're talking about and gives a little bit more insight and a little more professionalism into that field. Just so you know, technology doesn't always go the way you want it to, and sometimes the best laid plans, right? And our interview had some glitches, but the audio is all there. So in the parts where it freezes up, just bear with it and just listen along. So hopefully it gives you some insight and some wisdom a little bit behind what goes into yo-yo design. And without any further ado, is that the expression? Sure. All right, let's get into my chat with Patrick Dressel. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm never recorded via Zoom here, so I'm like nervously checking it. I'm like, is it really recording?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see the thing up there now. Yeah,
It is,
I've
okay.
never done that either.
Just hopefully it's like, it won't mess up the whole thing. So,
Right.
all right, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, I was actually just working on a couple designs, and
Oh, nice, good.
yeah, I kind of just do it on my free time.
That's timely.
After work, or yeah.
Good. Good. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time and all that, so we'll just get right into it. But I really do
definitely.
appreciate you being here and taking the time to talk to all of us about yo-yo design. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and not from, I talk about it a lot in my videos, but I'm not a designer. So like I'm sure there's a lot of blind spots that I have, as far as things I'm just probably talking out of my butt about.
Right.
Not actually know from an actual designer perspective. So thanks for being on and and actually talking some truth to us about what actually goes into yo-yo design. So
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
yeah. So yeah, just to get us the ball rolling here, I just have a couple questions. I even wrote.
Oh, definitely.
Because I'm getting older and I forget things. First off, just for those who don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what sort of your yo-yo career, so to speak, has looked like, and what's kind of brought you to today. And what,
Yeah, definitely. So I remember one of my best friends, I want to say it was like fifth or sixth grade. We were playing outside of recess, and he had I think it was a metal drifter from Duncan, one of those old school like metal ones. And he kind of got me hooked back then, and I ended up getting a dragonfly, a Duncan dragonfly, I think it was, for Christmas, and it was pretty cool. I ended up yo-yoing. That was back in like '08 or '09, and it was very fun. I ended up getting, I think it was a legacy after that, like my first real unresponsive yo-yo, and it was crazy. I was trying to do a trapeze on a Duncan dragonfly. Like, imagine that you have like Skyvas and Mojos and plastics out there. And it's like, oh, I was doing trapezes on like a dragonfly. Or I learned double or nothing on a dragonfly. It's awesome. Just crazy. And then I'm sure there's people out there that are learning it on like Cold Fusions or Pro Yos or whatever back in the day too. So yeah, I've been yo-yoing for like 10 or over 10 now, like 12, 13 years. And it's just been crazy. I mean, I can't even believe that I would be designing, I mean, the coronavirus was definitely not a good thing, but that's the reason why I started yo-yo designing. I needed something to do to fill up my free time. And I always kind of wanted to do it in the back of my head. Like, I always saw Mark on the Yo-Yo Expert forums posting about it. And it was just something I always wanted to do. And I actually had the time, and I sat down and I learned how to do it. And it was turned out pretty successful, I'd say. I have my own company, and I've been designing for, I want to say 3 or 4 companies now, and a bunch of one-offs as well. And it's been going good.
Very cool. Very cool. So you were sponsored before this, right?
Yeah, I was for Reticulated.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, what was your first design before like your company currently?
Oh my gosh, my first design. The one that actually got made was actually the beanie from Throwing Sideways. I have it
Okay,
right
that was the
here.
first one. Okay, I wasn't sure.
First one that got made, yeah. So
Okay.
I ordered the prototype for the 5050. I have it right here.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered this one first, but this one came
Okay.
in for
Gotcha.
Will from Throwing Sideways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was kind of like my first actual design that was drawn. It was horrible. It was like this, it was like this mid-sized. Like basically, imagine if Unparalleled made a organic yo-yo. It had like
Mm-hmm.
all these cuts because I didn't know how to make an arc or anything. So it was very like bad, but it had some cool specs. It was like 54 diameter and 46 width. But this was my first one. It sold really well. Um,
Nice.
and I actually got really lucky to make this because Will he hit me up to be featured on one of his videos because he's really big on YouTube. He has a
Mm-hmm.
couple hundred subscribers,
Yep. Yep.
and he had somebody design a yo-yo for him, and he flat out told me, he was like, "Hey, this is pretty bad." So I was like, "Well, I would definitely love to try and work on it for you." So he had like the basic shell, and he said, "All right, I want this, this, and this change." So I changed it up, and that kind of got me jump started. And now we have like I think he has 3 yo-yos released now, and he has a
Mm-hmm.
couple other prototypes going through. So that's been probably one of the best opportunities I've had so
Very
far when
cool.
it
So
comes.
have you designed other things for him then too as well?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have them all right here. I figured it would be
Oh,
cool.
nice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this one's the cysteine right here. So
I
this is an
saw.
organic.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is probably, besides the yo-yos from my company, this is probably the favorite one I've made for
Cool.
anybody else so far. This is the Powerhouse. Pretty cool, like mid-sized W competitive shape. This one's cool because it actually feels kind of like a bimetal in terms of like power and
Mm-hmm.
performance, and it's
Mm-hmm.
only 55
Mm-hmm.
millimeters in diameter. It's this one's very nice too for competitive. Not really my style, but
Sure.
it is
Sure.
very nice.
Very cool.
And
Yeah, a lot of your designs tend to be on the organic side. Yeah, like, at least
yeah, I have a
what
bunch.
I've played, at least, which is
Yeah, a
great.
bunch of organics.
I love
They're
organics.
yeah, they're my favorite. And I feel like that's one of the things that I feel like I'm really good at designing with.
Hmm.
Just because you need like more of a feel when it comes to those types of yo-yos.
Hmm.
And that's something, for playing for 12 or so years, that's something that I kind of have a lot of.
Hmm.
I have a lot of feel.
Cool. So, I mean, that you were saying that your that design, particularly the powerhouse, so like it's kind of branching out a little bit, probably. But so, like generally, what is your approach to design?
Um, that's a tough question. I mean, I take it a little bit different each time. I try to design things that haven't really been done before. So, going back to like the 5050, I mean, it's a one-to-one organic design, which I don't think ever been done before, or at least on like a large
Mhm.
scale. Not
Yeah.
that 5050 was large scale, but
Right.
it was large enough. It was like 55, 60 pieces. Um, so for that one, which was my first actual design, uh, I played the Qubit at Worlds, and I thought it was super cool. The
Hmm.
one thing I didn't like about it was that it just felt so heavy to me. So I figured, why not make it a little bit lighter and make it organic and
Hmm.
the 50/50. So
Yeah.
just
Pulled
making
up.
things that kind of haven't really been made before. I haven't really been tested the waters, or maybe something that hasn't been out there as much.
Hmm.
Just things that are different, especially with the oversaturated market.
Hmm.
Uh, you got to stand out in some way, but I try to ride that line in between gimmicky and
Hmm.
performance. So something
Hmm.
that'll play well, but is different than anything else that you have in your collection.
Yeah, I mean, and what I've seen from you, like what I've actually reviewed from you, either it's your own or somebody else's or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly seen that where it's like, and I've seen you talk about that either on Instagram or something about, like we are in an oversaturated market and there's like new companies even during COVID, including your own. And so like, yeah, what would you add anything there to say like what do you think like makes a yo-yo in 2021 stand out in an oversaturated market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that actually like the pandemic, I don't think that all these yo-yo companies are great, but I love that all these new designers are coming out because they have time, like me in the
Hmm.
pandemic, to
Hmm.
actually design some or get that started. Like Shuriken Yo-Yos has that Juji, which looks super
Hmm.
cool. It's like
It is pretty
58
cool.
by 52. It looks crazy. Atmos has some awesome stuff. Like Ruben's
Hmm.
design, Cloudberry is awesome. Pomelo looks awesome.
Hmm.
Jake Bullock with the dunk, like all these different things
Hmm.
just come out. It's so cool. I think that's like a really good thing, and that we have more yo-yos, or that we have more opportunities for these cooler, different designs to come out of the woodworks. Um, I don't really think that having all these companies are very good, um, but I do like all those yo-yos. As far as standing out, I feel like this year in particular, uh, D bearings are going to be big, organics are going to be big,
Hmm.
especially without the competition. Um, I mean, it's tough because a lot of stuff with yo-yo has already been done. I mean, I think especially now with Freshly Dirty with their Mod 44, I think it's tough to really top that in terms of creativity and ingenuity. I mean,
Hmm.
that's way out of my league, at least at the moment. But anything like that is just super cool, like where you can change rims or you can change something, like side effects. I want to do something. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I want to do something where you'd be able to like kind of change the bearing size. Like I think that would be cool. Do like some type of what was it, like the Buzz-on SPRs, design something like
Hmm.
that, but more modern. And I don't know. I think something like that would be
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah. Jeffrey Pang had just put out one, right?
Oh yeah, he
With
did
this
with those
but that's
titaniums.
like $500.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe like a
I
more
looked at it and I was like, ooh, that's too rich.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But it's super cool. I mean, the concept of it is very cool, but to do it, do anything like that, I feel like there is a balance between like making something affordable at all and something that's like cutting edge.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
tough
He
balance
had some
sometimes.
awesome products. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a frugal yo-yo. I mean, I don't really have many
Mhm.
titaniums. I have maybe like two.
Right.
Um,
Me too.
so that's nothing that I would ever touch. But he makes some awesome products too.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
excited to see what he comes up with too.
Yeah. You are paused. I can hear your voice.
Oh, really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know why.
I
It's
I
fine.
I can't see it. Like my screen, you're literally in this like little square on the side.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
even see
No
myself.
worries. Let me hold on. Okay. I mean, it'll be fine. If we have just audio for some of it, that's fine too.
Yeah, that
Um,
works.
yeah. So, okay, yeah. So, I mean, you've already kind of touched on some trends, and obviously, as an avid reviewer too, I mean, like I've seen a lot of the trends, and I think you're right. I think we're going to see a little bit more of this as we continue to not really see like face-to-face competitions. I've commented a lot on reviews that I think it's a good thing. We're actually seeing some fun yo-yos, deliberately fun and not just uber competition,
Right.
just like pushing the limits of performance. I think we need that, but you're seeing less of that, and you're seeing more comfortable yo-yos and more just kind of everyday carry type yo-yos. And so you see experiments with D bearings, you see high walled yo-yos, you see a lot of organics, or slimline yo-yos, all kinds of stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, but it is like you want to find a balance there. I think probably, because you want
Right.
to
Definitely.
like, especially if you're probably making designs, like you want a design that someone is going to be able to pick up a couple of years from now and not feel like, oh, that was just trendy back in 2020 and 2021.
Right. Definitely.
So, I mean, that is you know, like I pick up yo-yos that I played, 10 years ago, and I'm like, this still holds up. That's a
Yeah.
good
Definitely.
design to me. You know, so.
Yeah. Like I feel the same way. Half of my collection is from like 2010 or 2011. Like I have
Hmm.
some 888s, I have like hat tricks, and I'm
Hmm.
I'm a huge General Yo fan. So
Oh yeah,
shout
yeah,
out
for
to
sure.
Ernie from General Yo.
Yeah.
He makes all my favorite yo-yos. So I like literally a whole case of General Yo's, and I have some old Caribou Lodge. Like it's just crazy to
Hmm.
think like we know so much more about yo-yos today, but it's hard to really beat that nostalgic type like 888 or
Hmm.
Peak or Woolly Marmot, Hat Trick. Like all those yo-yos are
Hmm.
just so cool, and they're all like smaller organic yo-yos, and it's just I don't know something about them.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if, like, looking back then, whenever, yeah, like those yo-yos were designed. Like one of my first metal yo-yos was a Project Two, by
Right,
One Drop, and so like, like a lot of the yo-yos coming out then were like undersized. A
right,
lot of undersized yo-yos, and a lot of center weighted yo-yos and that kind of stuff. And
right.
so like were they thinking of that? Like when yo-yo designers were thinking of through their designs, were they actually thinking, oh, this is the trends of the time, or were they just designing a good yo-yo? Like,
Yeah,
like I wonder if, I don't know. Does that make
yeah,
sense? Like,
yeah. No, I got you. It's a good question
and I
because
think because of that, maybe that's why a lot of these yo-yos, like I still pick up a P2 and I'm like, wow, this still plays so good.
yeah, yeah, and
Another yo-yos in that era. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that. they had an idea that rim weight was good. I mean, you had companies like YoYo Jam that were designing those hybrids back in like
Hmm.
'05 and '06,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
speeders and Hitmans. It's like
Hmm.
even before that, actually, Hitman was like '03. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to think like they kind of knew that rim weight was a thing. But what I think makes organics really good, like those old school like 888s, those peaks, those Project 2s. You know, I think it's like a nice balance of rim weight and center weight that I think really makes that magical feel.
Hmm.
And I think that that's something that's really important for you know, comfortable yo-yos. Like things like the Contact have a decent amount of center weight
Hmm.
and rim weight. And I think, well, speaking about the Contact specifically, I haven't tried one, but from what I've heard, it's really grill-like, and I think that's because it has a little
It's
bit
pretty
more
great.
rim weight.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great from what I heard. You know,
Hmm.
Mark's great. Um, it's that rim weight plus that lightweight. Like for
Hmm.
me personally, I mean, I'm sure as you can tell, all my yo-yos are, you know, 59 grams or so. Like I love that lightweight, something about that. So I can really
Hmm.
push the rim weight, but also, you know, keep it light, keep it zippy, floaty,
Hmm.
fun, whatever you want to call it, all those buzzwords that we love.
Hmm. Well, and like, yeah, and that's a good yo-yo to kind of showcase like what does modern design look like that has that still like nostalgic feel to it. I mean, it has smooth grooves. I remember
Yeah.
even like when I reviewed it and talked about that, Doc Pop was like, "Oh, that's a great design," because he designed that,
Yeah.
like that was his concept, and so it's cool to see how like people are giving homage to things they don't even know all the time,
Oh,
um, because there's just a gap in yo-yos. Because for people like me, like I yo-yoed back when I was in middle school in the
right.
late '90s, early 2000s, but then kind of missed the transition to unresponsive. So like there were trends of if I were to design a yo-yo, I'd probably end up putting something in a design and I wouldn't even realize I was being inspired by somebody else. There's like a group think, probably with
Right.
design. There's so much, that.
Oh, I
Uh,
know, and I think
mhm.
that at least for me, like I think it's a little necessary. I mean,
Mhm.
I learned from Rob that owns Airtech Strings and
Mhm.
Mark. So I'm always constantly I would be bouncing ideas off them like, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, does this look cool? What do you think if I
Mhm.
added this? I mean, I think it's a good thing to a point where you're especially now, you know, with the internet, you have Discord. It has a lot of yo-yo design stuff. Instagram, you can always hit up me, or I'm sure Mark would talk to you as well. You know, Yo-Yo Expert has a forum on it. You know, it's just crazy how, you know, for me, that's kind of like shaped my design. So I see some stuff for Mark, like I'll show him like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'll be like, oh, I think it's great. Why don't you try adding a little bit more midweight, or why don't you try doing this to the rim? And it's like, it's just cool, and it makes your designs better, and it makes you think a little bit more. And you know, I'll critique something for him. Like I remember, I don't know if it was with the Contact. He had like a bimetal one, and I was saying, oh, try and
Mhm.
slope the rim a little bit more at the top to
Mhm.
make it a little more comfy. And you know,
Mhm.
I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do know my organics. This was like when I
Mhm.
first started, and he's like, oh wow, that actually makes it look a lot better. So it's
Mhm.
just I love that bouncing ideas back and forth from other designers.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's why I love the boutique sort of yo-yos. I mean, like it seems like there is a lot of collaboration, even if it's unintentional, like actually
Right.
collaborative. There's a collective advice, and I see that even from as a reviewer. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I have really only one other question for you, but like you know, there's people like me and others who are like, hey, I don't really know anything about design specifically, but I've always had this romantic vision of maybe learning design. Like, what would you, if I were to say, I want to get into design and I want to make a yo-yo, like what advice would you give? Things that maybe you learned the hard way, um, or something that you're like, okay, now that you have your own company and you're putting out your own specific designs, like what advice would you give to somebody who's like just learning, like.
Right. So if you wanted to design CAD, and again, I'm shouting out Mark from MK1 like 100 times, but
Mhm.
he has this awesome like playlist on YouTube where he goes over how to design a yo-yo. I think
Mhm.
he's actually doing right now. I don't know if it's official yet, so I'm sorry if I leak this, but he's making like a yo-yo CAD. He's gonna do like a whole like tutorial or stream or something with it, and then he's actually gonna
Okay,
have it made so you can actually see like, okay, here's what goes into it, and
cool.
then actually see, you know, that the finished product if you wish to pick that up.
Hmm.
Um, for me, when I first started, the biggest thing for me was just I don't know. That's a really tough question, to be honest. Um, I would say definitely start like just playing, finding a program that you like. So for me, I use Fusion 360. A lot of other people use Autodesk. Some of them use FreeCAD. find a program that you like, and then just start playing around with it before you start designing yo-yos.
Mhm.
The actual yo-yo part, like designing the actual yo-yo, is like not that hard. It's just drawing a couple lines. The really hard or difficult part is actually drawing like the bearing seat,
Mm.
the response groove, the guts, and figuring all of that out. Everything else is kind of pretty easy. So if you want to just play around with the lines, and I'm sure
Mhm.
on Facebook they have like a design group, you can find like a bearing seat, or you can even message me and I'll send you a whoever is looking at this, I can send you a like a little bearing seat that you can use because they're really tedious to do. Like I'll draw it once in a while, but generally I'll just use like one file, like, okay, here's my bearing seat for C yo-yos, and I'll just adjust like the gap width or the pads, and then here's my bearing seat for D size bearings or A size bearings. So, really taking the time to, learn that stuff is probably a good idea if you're
Yeah.
first starting out.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have. Anything else that you want to say, like about the future of future designs? There's anything that you want to plug before we go?
All my companies that use me, William Guy from Throwing Sideways, Few and Far Between, Fat Guy Snacks, and then all the other yo-yo designers that start, like Mark, Ruben, Jamie. I don't know the Shuriken Yo-Yos guy, but the Shuriken Yo-Yos guy, his name.
Mhm.
Check them all out. Check out Dressel Designs. Uh, and yeah, I mean that's it.
Cool. Cool. Well, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you being on here. And yeah, we'll do something creative if depending on how the video comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
It might just be audio and then my face moving
Oh,
because
my face
your
still isn't here.
your
Oh my God.
face has not moved for like
Oh
10
boy.
minutes, at least. So we'll see how that
Oh,
goes.
all right. I'm
But
sorry. If we
we'll
want
do
to like
some
redo it one day, that's fine with me
we'll do
also.
something creative.
Okay.
And who knows? It might be my internet connection. It might be yours. I don't
It's
know.
probably mine. I'm on because I only have a desktop. I'm on my school computer, so that might be why.
And
I
who
don't know.
knows? No worries. We'll make it
Yeah.
work. People, I think people understand.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
really do appreciate you being on
Yeah, my
and
pleasure. Oh,
offering
shout
some
out Guy with
insight.
the Yo-Yo also. Shout out Manny, Guy with the Yo-Yo.
Yes, yeah, no,
The
he's great.
Saboteur.
Man, I love that. Yeah, cool. All
Definitely.
right, man. Well, thanks a lot, and yeah, all right. I'll
Yeah, well,
let you know
thanks for
whenever
having
this
me.
releases and everything, and send you a link to it. But again, appreciate you being on. All right,
Oh, thank you for having me. All
all right.
right,
Take
peace.
it
I
easy.
don't know if I'll be able to hang up. You might have to do
I'll probably have to hang
it.
up. All right, see you later.
All
Bye-bye.
right, see you. Thanks.